Hello and welcome to another quick tutorial from Noseman, because you all know that Noseman knows. So today's subject, it's going to be a quick one, and it has to do with how do we rotate polygons so that they are aligned to the other ones. Now these polygons have arbitrary rotations, so this one here has an arbitrary rotation, and this one has an arbitrary rotation, and this one is flat on the ground. That doesn't make a real difference. And what I want to achieve is to flatten out all three of these polygons, but by retaining their size. So I could always go and select them all and flatten them down, but then the actual size would be different. I want to pivot them on this edge here. So let me take my doodle tool and show you, 1 second, what I mean. I want to align that one over here, so it's straight down right here. And then I'm going to take both these and align them on the floor. So all three polygons are going to be aligned properly. And I'm going to show you a couple of methods. It's the same basic principle, and we are going to use snapping and the extended axes handles or something along those lines. So let's select the object and let's take up a rotation tool. Okay, so there are a couple of things we need to do. Number one, we need to take this axis and align it to the edge we want to rotate. So it's this edge over here. And one way to do it is when you click on your rotational scale or move tool, here in the attributes you get the attributes for the tool, and you go to the modeling axis and you can just use these percentage values to place that axis on a percentage of the selected points. So because this is square and it's easy to do, you can bring it this way, and you can see the red axis is over here. I hate the highlighting sometimes. And that means that we need to move the X, and you can always experiment and then move this here. So now we know that we are on this pivot. Now, if you didn't want to use this way, so 0, tab, 0, you can actually do this by utilizing the snap tools. And the way I use snap tools is I click and hold and rip out the palette. And the first thing I need to do is enable snapping, and I want the snapping to occur on the vertex. Vertex level. Okay, I want the axis to snap on a vertex. And first I want to move this axis without touching the polygon. So I'm going to get my move tool and I can activate my axis modification, or I can press and hold the L key. Now if you just click once, it toggles. So on, off, on, off. But if you press and hold, it becomes a sticky key, which means that if I click and drag, it will go here, and when I release the mouse and release the button, it will go back to its original position. That's what a sticky key is. So again, you can turn this on and move the axis around and put it wherever you want. Or if it's off, you press and hold L and you do this. If you want to use shortcuts for the whole thing, basically you just press Shift S to activate snapping, then press L and hold, and then move it around. And yeah, you'll get used to these. Now that we've set the axes where we want it to, we're going to do the next step. We are going to select the rotation. Okay, now I could always go to the side view and eyeball it, because I'm a fan of eyeballing, and just click and drag. But you will never get an absolute accurate rotation this way. You always have small differences, so it won't be absolutely straight. But what can we do with snapping that will allow us to make this perfect? Well, there's something called the extended axes, and the way it works is the following. Press Control or Command depending on your computer and your setting. Right, hold it down and then just go and right click once. Just right click, don't right click and hold, just right click on the axes. And now I'm releasing the command or control key, and I'm just moving my mouse, and you can see that we have this extended axis that doesn't do anything, and it's just waiting for us to tell it where we want to start rotating. And because I've got my snapping enabled, when I go here it's going to snap. Now I'm going to press my left mouse button and drag. So now it's dragging that axis from that point, and I'm going to snap it over here. So now I've got this polygon and this polygon aligned. Now I don't need the snapping anymore. All I need to do is hover over this, move it that way, and press Shift and make sure that it quantizes at 180 degrees. Now, just in case you don't have quantizing every 10 degrees or something like that, one thing I always like to do is set up the quantizing the way I want it based on what I'm trying to do. For example, if I press Shift now, it goes every 10 degrees. That's the default. But what if I want to do a 45 degree? Then I need to change the quantizing setting. And the easiest way to do this is press Shift-C to get the commander. Let's type quant for quantize, and then just click and drag the move slider, scale slider, and rotate slider over here. So click and drag this and drop it in here. Click and drag this and drop it in here. And click and drag this and drop it in here. And if you want to keep these little buggers here, all you have to do is go and save layout as, or save layout as a startup layout, and then whenever you fire up Cinema 4D, these are going to be available for you. So I can go to my rotation step and type in 5 degrees. So now when I rotate and press Shift, it quantizes every 5 degrees. So I can go, let me undo, and say 90, press Enter, and quantize 90 degrees, and that's pretty much it. When you learn how to work with quantizing and Shift and a few shortcuts, I promise you your productivity will increase by 1,000,000 times. Now there's one more thing we need to do, and make this flat on the ground. So Shift click to select this, and you can see now that my axis has reset. So you either go back here and you try to set it based on the selection, or let's repeat the previous exercise. Shift-C to enable snapping, press and hold L, but I've got my rotation. I want to select my move, which is E, then press L and hold, click and drag anywhere, and there you go. Now my axis is here. Select my rotation by pressing R on the keyboard, and let's extend our axis again. So Command or Control, right click, release everything, move your mouse, go here. Now here's the problem. What am I going to snap to? So there's nothing to snap to now. We don't have a point we need to snap. Well, we can always go backwards and snap here and then reverse it. But let me show you one more trick. You can turn on Work, Plane Snap, and turn on Grid Point and Grid Align. And now, when you can see that it's snapping somewhere on the ground, because those are the snapping settings. When we come close to the point, it's going to snap here. And all you have to do is click and drag and bring this to a point that is on the floor. And there you have it. We have these 3 polygons, which if I select all 3, you will see that the Y dimension is 0. Therefore, they are flat. They have retained their original size, and we have rotated them so that they are nice and flat. And this thing won't take you more than 2 or 3 seconds if you start using your shortcuts. Last piece of advice, whenever you're done using snapping, turn it off and get rid of the palette, because it's very easy to miss snapping sometimes, and it's on and things are going to move in quite odd ways. Well, thanks for watching this tutorial. Don't forget, Noseman knows. Post any comments and questions down on the comment section of YouTube's. And don't forget to watch the amazing tutorial podcasts and all the other information coming from Cineversity, 3D Fluff, Brograph, Hello Lux, Grayscale Gorilla, and so many other places, School of Motion, iDesign, and I don't have a list in front of me, so I'm sure some people are going to be offended, but, you know, that's how things are. I apologize.